should get the notification in a sec. So, and I just saw your tweet as well. But yeah, it has been so, and I guess like getting back to like any type of like normality is also weird. Like I'm finding it hard.
Well, it's a little bit different for me because, like, I'm in South Australia, so we kind of went back to not what you would call normal a little bit earlier than everyone else, especially Victoria. Which was great for us, but also very hard as an onlooker, seeing everyone else kind of suffer in that lockdown and knowing how hard that would be. Really weird. But it's, pretty back to normal. Like, I'm back at work at the pub that I work at, and that's, we've got bands back and everything. So that's feeling like pretty regular now. And, the photo work's coming through a lot more often at the moment. So yeah, it's kind of feeling a bit normal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Chloe's just joined the chat. Her 80 as well. Steph, what up? What up, Drea? Drea's in the chat as well. Chloe's just said it's not loading well. Are you guys seeing the stream okay in chat? Not sure what that means. I don't have any dropped frames, so it could be. You can sometimes downgrade the resolution, Chloe, if you're having lagging issues. Benny's saying it's not showing live. The notification just went out like super late, so it's looking okay. Cool. Thanks, Steph. And what up, everybody in the chat? This is my dear friend Lala, aka Lauren. I always just called you Lala. I've never called you Lauren. Even in my phone, you're still saved as Lala.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where the name came about because, that's kind of always been a nickname of mine. And, I've got a very long, awkward name to say, which is Lauren Connelly. It seemed like too many syllables for a website address. So I was like, I'll just...
What about mine?
Oh, yours is like a celebrity name because you've got the 3 names. I don't have a middle name. I'm lacking in that.
And also the acronym now. I've got the MGH, which most people call me MGH now. But it's Michelle Grace Hunter is like the longest name. It's like, and my email is like hello@michellegracehunter.com. It's just, didn't think about that.
It's easy to remember though, so that's the main thing.
True. I remember when it was actually Solo from Horror Show. For those who don't know, an awesome hip hop group here in Australia, but Solo was the first person to ever call me MGH, and it just stuck.
Yeah.
I just started, like, I changed all of my socials just like to MGH and my logo and stuff. And yeah, what up, Cherie? Steph said her middle name is Lauren as well. So we've got mutual names here in the chat today. I'm really excited to talk to you, finally. We haven't actually seen each other forever. What up, Jade? Good to see you in the chat as well. Because you've been over in South Australia and you haven't been able to go anywhere until quite recently. But you were just saying that your kind of COVID lockdown experience was a little bit different to ours in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, I really treated it as a holiday. Like, I went in positively, like this is a forced break. And I think I needed one. I needed one away from photos. I needed a break away from my other job. And it kind of refreshed me a lot. I'd concentrated on other things that I like doing, which I think has opened me up a bit more creatively, I guess. So, yeah, it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me personally, which, is hard to admit sometimes. I know some people have gone through a lot of shit with it, but, everyone's experience is different, I guess.
Oh, I resonate with that a lot because I just struggled to stop, and it was like a forced stop. Yeah. I mean, I still didn't stop because I bloody threw myself into streaming. So
yeah.
I literally did not stop.
But that is like, that's the blessing in disguise, isn't it? You've thrown yourself into something completely new and different to you, and like, look how amazing it is. Like, you've got a chat room with people watching you and, done some amazing interviews. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's just like, I don't really know how to not do anything. Like, that gives me a lot of anxiety, and I just can't really relax often. Like, I've still got that mentality of that hustle mentality, I guess, of like, if you stop, everyone's going to forget you and all that sort of stuff. So I just have to keep productive. Like, that's just kind of what works for me, but
Totally.
it's not healthy. It's not, I'm definitely not one of those people that brags about being busy. I actually think that's super toxic and stuff. I'm really self-aware of the fact I should be able to relax a little bit more.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
I'm actually the complete opposite of you. I think you know that, Michelle. I love to relax. Lots of work stresses me out. But that's not to say I don't love what I do. I do overload myself sometimes.
Cherie just said rise and grind. Yeah. It's to be honest though, I think I'm definitely getting better at, I took last week off because I just wasn't coping with being back as busy as I am and streaming and just that workload and stuff, and it became too much. Yeah, it's a lot.
You need it. You don't want to burn out. That's a really
I was feeling that. I think and I was just like, nah, I'm just going to take a week off. And I mean, I still didn't do nothing, but at least I wasn't shooting. I just took a week off streaming and a week off shooting, and it was just good for my just went for lots of walks and just clear the head and stuff like that. So
did some washing.
It's been good. Yes, I literally did some washing, which is great. My poor husband's like, no bloody clean clothes. He was doing washing for I think the first time ever, and then all of a sudden it was like a big deal. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got back to it. Let's talk about you, not talk about my washing. I'm going to show some of your work, but while we're talking, but I'd love to hear, I guess, your backstory. A lot of the people in the chat are aspiring or current music photographers at different levels in their career, and I think it's always interesting to talk to people about how they started, because there's not one pathway. It's just everyone's story is completely different.
No. Yeah, I was very lucky to get into it, into music photography. I kind of really just fell into it, did nothing. I never, ever, ever thought that I would be a photographer, never entered my mind until I was, in my early 20s. So, I'm very jealous of young people who have already figured that shit out, because I did it way too late. But no, not late, because, I've had success, which is really good. What did I do?
If you did it late, what did I do?
It's never too late, really, is it? So how did I get into it? So I just I had a boyfriend who was in bands when I was a teenager, and I just bought a camera and started taking the camera to gigs, and it was a Sony Cybershot with a 64 megabyte memory card. Yeah, that's right, 64 megabytes.
I love that though. That's awesome.
But yeah, I don't know, just I wasn't really good at it, at all, but I, just kept doing it. And then I worked at JB Hi-Fi for a little while, and we ended up getting a camera department, and no one wanted to work in it. And I was like, well, I guess I'll do that then, because I was the only one that really had an interest in photography at that point. And the Canon rep there lent me a DSLR. I took it over to Melbourne. I took some photos. I was like, oh, I'm actually not bad at this. Oh shit. But then someone just asked me to shoot a gig for them for the AU Review, when the AU Review was in its infancy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and that show was a Laura Marling show. International artist, just got kind of thrown in there. Absolutely loved the show, fell in love with her as a musician, and took some pretty average photos. But from there, I just started getting gigs and just continually got better. And then, I just, Adelaide's just kind of like a small pond, so there wasn't many music photographers going around, and there was all these new publications that needed photographers. So I just kind of jumped in on that, and ended up buying my own camera, started shooting gigs, and then it was 2014, I think, when Kanye West toured, and I took a photo of Kanye West that kind of blew up a little bit, and that's kind of where things kicked off for me. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, awesome. No, there's so much that I want to touch on, because I guess I've known you for a lot of that time.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been able to follow your journey, which has been really awesome. But I remember specifically a time, I think this will resonate with a lot of people, but I feel you know, you were really working your ass off. You were shooting a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
You know, your work was at a level. And I remember you saying, I don't know whether you said it to me or if it was a tweet, or we probably had a conversation anyway, but like you were getting quite frustrated because you didn't feel like it was happening for you. Do you remember that? Do you remember that kind of moment? And I guess how do you work through when it feels like you're doing all this work but it's not getting you that success?
Well, I think for me, I felt like I was in a kind of harder position because I live in Adelaide, and it's like, you know, people think Adelaide's a backwater, and, you know, we don't really get a lot of gigs here. We miss out on a lot of international artists and, you know, even national tours. So I wasn't getting a lot of the same opportunities as maybe other interstate photographers were. And, you know, there's a ceiling here that you can reach that you can't, you know, it's not that high. There's only so far you can really get here. Well, at that point there was anyway. So for me, I think, like, I don't want to leave Adelaide. Like, I love this city. I love living here. So for me, I wanted to just achieve as much as I can here. And at that time, you know, I think I thought I was really good, but to be honest, like, looking back, I wasn't even that good a photographer. It all comes with continually shooting and keeping, like, doing the work. And so I think I did have that frustration a lot of the time, but in the back of my mind, I knew that it was just a phase and I would just continue to work and get through that. And, you know, eventually, like, you know, the attention came, and, you know, particularly that photo I spoke about earlier, like, that kind of blew up, and that made me realize, like, it is only one photo that takes, you know, you can bring attention and, you know, really highlight what you're doing to other people. It only needs to be one image. So you just need to keep shooting until you get it, you know?
Absolutely. Just a shout out to Shu, who just joined and subscribed. He's on a 9-month subscription streak. Thank you so much, Shu. So good to see you here today. Thank you for sending the love. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, it's so interesting because that's, I think, a frustration that a lot of people could really resonate with, because it does. And also, too, something that you said, like, because I know I felt this. Like, I remember early on thinking my work was just so good. And I look back at it now and God, it was trash. It's like, what was I thinking? It was just like, I don't know if there's a weird perception. Because we also, like, you know, we also suffer such lack of confidence with our work as well. So sometimes it's this weird dichotomy of, like, sometimes thinking you're more advanced than you are, or the opposite.
I think it's good to have confidence. Like, you need to be happy with what you're outputting. And I think as long as you are happy with what you're putting out there, like, that is the main thing. But I think a lot of the mistakes that young photographers make is that, like, they'll take, you know, 100 photos at a gig, and then they'll be like, here's 100 photos that I took from the gig. And you really need to, like, hone in on the good shit, because no one cares about 100 photos of a gig. Like, they want to see 5 good photos. You know what I mean? Like, and I think having that mentality really, like, made me be more, like, perfectionist about the work I was putting out. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, totally. Steph just said, I thought my editing was dope, but really my filters look like urine. Yeah, I could definitely relate. I mean, I just look at my stuff and it was like clarity slider 100.
Yeah.
You know, the mistake that everybody made. Just like, ew, that looks terrible. But no, I totally understand. It's like, it just takes a while to, I think, get in your groove, find your own style, get really consistent. The other thing I love to read in your bio too, it says that you've shot over 1,000 gigs, and something that I've really noticed is that, like, a lot of people that are frustrated haven't even really shot that many gigs. And I'm with you. Like, I would have definitely shot over 1,000 gigs, and especially in the first days, like, hundreds and hundreds. I was going to 3 or 4 shows a week, underground hip hop shows that nobody was covering.
Yeah.
Shitty lighting, cutting my teeth in venues with one spotlight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a really important part of the process to, like, really kind of make it, I guess?
Well, you know, it's like I said, it's just you're working and you're practicing, and the more you do that, the more you get better. And, you know, as music photographers, we're always dealing with shitty lighting and, you know, dingy, dark venues. And, you know, that's just really fun to do if you know how to edit the photos after. And I think that's
well, you learn, don't you? You learn how to, yeah. Because don't you reckon the festival shows, or like if you shoot a big show, other than, we'll talk about that Kanye show in a minute because that was not a case of this, but those really big shows, pretty much anyone could shoot those. Like, let's be honest. You don't need... other than get like the timing and the moments is where the skill comes in. But in terms of like being able to shoot a big show, they're not that difficult. It's those tiny shows in those, if you can get shots out of that, that's when you can really tell that you are a really amazing photographer. And doing that early, I think, really helps.
And that's like when you say getting the moments, like that is my big thing. Like that's what I look for in live music, is the moments. And you know, I don't care about a guy holding a guitar singing into a microphone. Like that's not a moment for me. That's the gig. Like I could have gone to the gig.
That's a gig. Yeah.
Like you want I'm a sucker for the in-between moments, like the pauses, the passionate response from crowds, like, you know, that kind of thing. You need to look for the stuff that people don't generally see at gigs, in the gig.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What up to Gypsy J and to Alias? G'day, mate. How you going?
Hi. I am reading the chat, by the way.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm reading it. I'm just like trying to also look at the camera. So, hello.
Say good day to Alias because he doesn't mind an Aussie accent.
G'day, Alias. I've got the most ochre bogan Australian accent.
No, you actually don't.
Really?
I've heard way more bogan than you. Yours is just a bit more Adelaide. Slightly more Adelaide.
More posh.
Slightly more posh over in Adelaide.
I say plant here.
And Castle. You guys say Castle.
Yeah, Castle,
it's a bit
dance,
more posh.
And plant.
That's exactly right. What up, Ash? Good to see you here as well.
Ash.
We're talking to Lala today. We're checking out some of her work and just talking about her career process so far. So 2 things really stand out to me about your career. One you mentioned, so I think we should talk about that. Shooting Kanye West. What year was that? Because I can't remember, but I shot that.
2014, I think.
2014. Oh, really? Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
My God. Okay, so 2014, I shot that, the same show that you shot.
Yep.
And I got the total of absolutely 0 photos from that show that I would never... It's actually the only show that I've not shown a photo of.
Yeah.
Because it was trash to shoot. So for those who don't know, it was... What tour was that?
Yeezus.
Was it Yeezus?
I want to say it was Yeezus, yeah.
I think it was Yeezus. So we get to shoot on that particular show. First 3 songs, not from the pit. We're shooting from the sound desk, which is... God knows how. It's like the middle of the crowd. It's like the back of
50
arena.
Meters away?
50 meters away, yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody that rocked up to that show, I remember, there was only a few people allowed to shoot that show, but most people were music journalists. Not music journalists. Like either Getty Images or newspaper journalists. And they all had the massive, like 300 meter sports or 500 meter sports lenses. So I walked in and I was like, shit.
That and a monopod as well.
And a monopod. What up, Kiki? Good to see you here. So, so shooting from the sound desk is like, first of all, we all hate that. For those who's never done it, it's really shit. I got my position personally and was ready to go. And what happened is, as soon as he came out, everybody went like this, with their hands up.
Yeah.
You couldn't see anything, and the light was red, like bright red, and the whole stage was covered in smoke. So those 3 things combined, 50 meters back, red light, covered in smoke, I didn't get anything. It was just like absolute trash. For the first 3 songs, it was just trash. So when I saw your photo, you got, and I remember too, this is like so bloody cool. So anyway, you should tell a story. I should shut up. You
Well,
tell me your experience shooting that show.
my experience was a little bit different. So I rocked up, and I'm gonna say, like, I did not really have the best gear for this gig. Like, I definitely did.
Well, we can talk about that in a second because I actually think it was advantageous in your situation. We can talk about why in a sec as well.
Sure. Well, I was shooting this not on a full frame DSLR. I was a crop frame, and I also was using a pretty average Tamron 18 to 200, mega zoom lens. So let's just put that into perspective. Pretty average, like very average. Anyway,
Yes.
So I got to the show, and similar scenario, lots of news journalists, there was a couple of music photographers there. Guy next to me who I'd never met before, but he ran a hip hop website, and we had chatted a little bit. And I turned around and I saw behind me there was like a leather lounge suite up, like on a platform above the sound desk.
Ooh.
And I kind of said to the hip hop guy, I was like, oh, I reckon Kim Kardashian's going to be sitting up there, hey, because that was just when Kim and Kanye had started going out. And he was like, you reckon? I'm like, yeah, I reckon. Anyway, so first song, and the lights go down, and we're all waiting for it to start. Lights come up, red light. Shoot the first song. Turn around, and Kim's up there. And I was like, hey, look, she's up there. And this guy turns around and starts taking photos of her. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? So we all got kicked out of the pit in the second song. I'm like, are you serious, man? This is the
I
best
think
thing
I
I've ever
know.
shot.
I think I know who that was as well.
Oh,
Massive
fuck.
fail.
I don't know who it was, but I was like pretty pissed, man. Like, I was like, I've got nothing here. This is the worst. And I walked out and I said to one of the other photographers, I was like, this is fucked. I don't have anything. Anyway, I went home. I think I went home and Kanye West was still playing when I was editing the photos. And then it turned out that I got a couple of decent shots. And obviously, like, red isn't the most ideal thing to work with. So,
is the photos, are they on your Instagram, by the way?
I smashed out.
Yeah.
So I just smashed out a couple of black and white ones. And hey, what do you say? It's like, they worked. One of them worked.
I want to try and find it. Is it on your Instagram if I scroll back far enough? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, you're back. No, that's right. Is the photo, are they on your Instagram?
Oh man, yeah, it'll be there, but it might be like a little further down.
I want to scroll back and try and find it so people can
Let me see if I can fling it to you.
Okay, cool. Do that.
In a chat.
Yeah, do it in the chat. So yes, I think, and so you went back and edited the photos and you oh, there's me and you. Oh, cute. We look cute. On your Instagram. You went back and you were editing and you were like, how quickly did you realize that you got something that was pretty decent?
Well, like I said, I just kind of changed it to black and white because I was like, how the hell else am I going to get anything out of here? And yeah, it just worked. It was lucky.
It just worked, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and also
like a million, but
yeah, so definitely want to show this photo.
I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, it's all good. And also, I definitely think that the fact that you had a crop sensor in that moment with that lens that gave you just that little bit of extra focal length was actually really an advantage in that particular situation. In other situations, it might not have been quite. There we go. It's popped up. Let me get the chat up.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm having a shit time with my internet right now, so
No, you're fine. I've pulled it up so they'll be able to see it. Here we go. So this is the moment that he just came onto stage.
Yeah. So like that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about moments. Like, it's the like this was the pinnacle moment of the start of the gig, like him coming up with the mask on. So I wanted to capture that energy of him doing that. And yeah, it came out really good, and I fucking entered it straight away the next day into the Monster Children photo competition, which happened to be running at the time. And they.
I just realised that it's covering. Wait. I've just got to get your Skype up because the thing's covering your face. How do I get rid of that?
It's fine.
No, I want to see your face again. Why is it doing that? That's so weird. Okay. Oh, is it still covering your face? All right, hang on a sec. I've got to get you back in the square. I don't know. I don't know what's happened. Technical difficulties, as per usual. No idea how you got this, but you nailed it, is what Chloe said, which I completely agree. You absolutely did nail it.
Yeah, look, you say nailed it, I say fluked it.
Look, our job really is a bit of nailing and a bit of fluking at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely.
Oh, that's not working. Hang on. Definitely something's happened here. Let me just get you. See if you're.
Oh, quickly, I have to sip my coffee.
Right. That's so weird. Why has that just done that? Okay. Okay, we're back. We're back. We'll just move this over here. Oh, no, that's still... Wait.
Oh, it's me.
That's you. I'll just move this over here and then I'll resize the thing again. Oh my God, all of the things. Oh, what just happened? Guys, what is going on today?
Oh my God.
All right.
My computer has somehow infected your computer.
Nah, it would not be at one of my streams if it just something really weird just happened.
That's funny because that's how every one of my shoots goes.
Really?
Yeah, every time something fucks up, like my lights stop working or like.
Oh wow, you've got my tech curse. It doesn't actually happen. It actually doesn't happen to me during my shoots. It only happens during streaming. So. Well,
I have the opposite problem, and
you have the opposite problem.
I'm a professional, guys. Truly.
Oh my God. Alias, I've never had tech problems. Alias also has the same curse as me. Just like everything is working and then all of a sudden it doesn't. Yeah. We have identical tech problems. But so I say this, but yesterday I went to a shoot and it was just for a friend. So I was a bit more casual than you. I didn't have my whole like kit with me. And I just had everything set up, was setting up all the lights and stuff, went to shoot, put the camera on the tripod, and then the battery, there was like an error. And I was like, all right, I'll just go get another battery. Didn't bring another battery, had to go home. It was just like a whole thing, but
yeah, that's
so annoying.
Very similar to the time I took my friend Annie Siegman to do a shoot, and we drove a half an hour to an aquarium shop so we could take photos of her amongst the fishes. And when we got there, I went to take a photo and didn't have a memory card in my camera or on me at all.
Love that. So I love that for you.
I had to drive it all the way back to my house and back to the aquarium centre for that one. So that was good.
I love it. That's amazing. So you just mentioned entering that Kanye photo that we just saw before into the Monster Children competition. Do you feel like that was like a bit of a turning point for you in terms of like getting a lot of eyeballs on your work and
I mean, I didn't it didn't get shortlisted or it like as a finalist or anything like that. They literally just posted it on their Instagram account, but that in itself was massive because they got millions of followers.
Yes.
And the caliber of the photography that they put out is just crazy. So that was just absolutely massive for me. I noticed like a comment on it. Someone had tagged someone in the photo saying, check this out. And I looked at their profiles and one of them was the deputy photo editor of Rolling Stone. Like, can't get better than that. Like, that's fucking amazing. So yeah, like
it's very cool. That's very cool. I love that. That's awesome. And then, so not long after that, I feel like it was when you started working for Triple J. Would that be right in the timeline?
Triple J came a little bit later. I did a laneway for them in, ooh, I want to say,
Is someone playing drums in the background of your house, by the way?
yeah, this is
Yeah, okay.
actually, my studio space is actually above a recording studio.
I was, as long as I'm not going crazy, I'm like, I'm definitely hearing something in the background
Nah,
there. That's
I
so
actually
funny.
wanted to warn you about it before we
No,
started,
it's
but I
fine.
had forgot. So just enjoy this metal drumming in the background.
I
So
love it. I
it's
love
a
it. Let's go
class
with the
beat.
flow. Go with the
Um,
flow.
yeah, no, Triple J came a bit later, but after the Kanye thing, I got a bit of work with like Nova and like kind of bit bigger radio stations and stuff like that. Triple J came about, I want to say like 2016, 2017, and I shot the Adelaide Laneway for them when they were doing a live broadcast. And they approached me, they kind of via that Kanye photo, because someone who worked with Triple J had seen it in another photo competition. So it kind of, that weirdly, yes, that kind
It
of
can't.
happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how there can just be like one little moment that gets enough eyeballs on your work to really change kind of the trajectory. And I think it's really cool to see because there's so many people that can get frustrated with where they are and if they've been working for a few years, but it really just takes one person noticing your work and then
Yeah.
off you go.
Yeah. And then,
Very cool.
Triple J was like, that was for me, as a 35-year-old person, I grew up listening to Triple J. Richard Kingsmill was like, basically controlled my formative years of music. He was the music director at that time. Next minute, I'm like walking down the road with him in Byron Bay, like he's in his board shorts about to go for a swim. Like, what the hell is my life? Like, it was incredible, yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. And so, how do you find? I guess it's been different, probably the last year or so, because there haven't been as many gigs. But how do you find juggling? I guess working kind of part time and doing as much shooting as you want to do, and also want to talk into like your foray into kind of more studio work and taking that on
Yeah.
as well.
It always has been a struggle to balance the two things. I'm still struggling with it, honestly. I'm
just looking at this photo of Sosie and just dying right now because she's my bestie and I love her and she's the best. And we did photos yesterday, so
she's so beautiful.
I love her.
One of my favourite people to shoot. I know it's the same for you.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, juggling. I work in a bar, so working in a bar is obviously a lot of nights. But the reason why I work there is because I have a great manager who completely understands what I want to do in photography and is flexible, lets me have the time off that I need, while still trying to give me all the hours that I want. Like, I'm in a good spot there. So for me, it's just like, I try to not do things that I don't want to shoot. Like, I don't really enjoy doing events so much. Like, I don't really love doing weddings. I'll do them for friends, really. Like, I really just want to shoot gigs and shoot portraits. I don't want to be like, I want to pigeonhole myself into that category. I'm not the kind of person that will just shoot for the sake of shooting, just for money. Although I will also do that when I'm broke. So, it's a catch-22. I would love to do photography full time, but then I know that will turn into me shooting things I don't really want to shoot. So it's that whole like, at the same time, I love working at the bar, I love working with live music. At the same time, I hate drunk people. Like, I can't win. But
oh, that's so funny. So is your, it kind of ties into the next question as well in terms of like goals for the future and stuff, but are you wanting to, like, now you started to do some studio work, and are you wanting to build it up to a point where you can be just doing the work that you want to do and eventually do it full time?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's been the aim. I during COVID, like, to start this studio space, I took a little bit of money out of my super and started the Nice business course, which is it's the New Enterprise Industry Scheme. So I know a lot of people would have heard of this already or done it, but basically I lost my job at the bar obviously when COVID lockdown happened because the pub closed. So I'm only a casual there. That was all my income gone. Obviously no photography work happening, so I had to go on Job Seeker. But the mutual obligations for Job Seeker, NEIS is actually an approved activity. So you can do the NEIS.
So were there mutual obligate? Because I was on JobKeeper, so it was a bit different. But were there still mutual obligations for Job Seeker last year?
Oh, not for a little while, but up until so you basically had to sign up, but you didn't have to do anything. But
okay, because I was like, that's fucking cooked if that's the case.
No. But then basically as soon as they started bringing back those mutual obligations, I was like, I'm not going to bother looking for work because I knew that I would get my job back at the pub. So I was like, I'll just do this NEIS course because then I don't have to look for jobs that I'm never going to want to do. So basically the NEIS course is you write a business plan over 5 weeks. I recommend this to anyone who wants to start a legitimate photography business. You basically just have to have an idea. You get to write a business plan. You get to do your financial projections over 2 years. Once you've done that and it's been approved, you actually get paid to run your business. So you're basically on the same amount of money as Job Seeker, but you don't have to look for jobs. You basically get to run your show. So that
is one of the best tips that anyone has ever given on this stream.
Yeah. So it's
if there's anyone in Australia that's wanting to do this, I think that's nationally, like that's not just a South Australian thing.
That's nationally. So basically,
that's so good. I wish I had done that when I first started. That's brilliant.
It's really honestly it's so boring, the business plan part, but it's actually really genuinely useful. You really get to see if it's going to be a viable venture for you.
Right.
You have to it makes you get insurance, so you sort out all your insurance and everything like that. Like you are a proper legitimate registered business name, all of that stuff. And then once you've on the NEIS business allowance, you're actually allowed to earn money through your business and also a casual or part-time job up to a certain amount, and that won't ping you, you won't get any less money from NEIS. So
that's so good. Yes, Chloe, sign up immediately.
Seriously,
is that a question or a statement? Are you saying they do that in America or they don't do that in America? They do it in the States, question mark.
I don't know if they do, but
I don't know,
NEIS. Just give it a Google. You do have to not sure about that, sorry, Kiki. But New Enterprise Industry Scheme. If you're in Australia, definitely have a look at that. It's really good if you're studying or if you are working casually and you do want to take the next step into
that's honestly there's so many people that are struggling to make that step, and that's the best option that I've ever seen or heard of.
And for me, it was just perfect timing. So I really, kind of worked the system and, made that work for me. And
absolutely, that's so.
Yeah, so I've been getting the allowance for almost a year now. So that's about to cut off for me. So I'm still not doing my business full time, which kind of sucks for me. But at the same time, I've managed to build up my business to a point, and I know what I should be doing. And I'm just going to have to make it work on my own from here. So that's the challenge.
Yeah, it definitely takes a few years to build up, I think, that regular client base to where you are legitimately doing it full time. That does take a little while, but I think the fact that you're able to use that time to start that process and not have the financial pressure of having absolutely no income, which is just impossible. That's why so many people struggle to do it. It sounds like such a great option. That's I'll be looking into it as well and posting some information on that in my Discord as well. That just sounds so good.
Yeah,
awesome.
It was good. It's really worked out for me. So I definitely encourage people to jump on that and check it out.
Very cool. if there's any questions for Lauren as well, just feel free to chuck them in the chat as well. Do you have any career highlights? Like what moments or shows that you've shot that really stuck out to you so far?
Ooh, oh man, that's like a hard one. There's so many. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. Like shooting
Is there
Blur,
like
Blur in Melbourne. Like I broke my thumb like really badly the week that I was coming to Melbourne to shoot it. I actually stayed with you that week.
Yes.
The dogs are going
Sorry,
on.
my dogs are going crazy. I think there's something at the door. Yes,
yeah,
I remember.
Maybe not being able to shoot that gig and then, you know, coming over and doing it in a like giant friggin' thing on my arm, like that was dumb, but you know, that was one of the best gigs of my life. And I remember like being surrounded by like, you know, really like professional, awesome photographers. I think Ian Laidlaw might have been there and Kane Hibbard. And I didn't talk to any of them at the time because I was too shy, but I literally like ran out of the pit and jumped in the air and like was like, wasn't that the best thing ever? And everyone probably thought I was a mental case, but yeah, I absolutely loved that. Thanks you.
How good is it though? How good is it to be like when you've shot as many gigs as we have? How cool is it to be genuinely excited about something? Like just be fully fanning. It's the best. It's the best
feeling.
That's what I do
it for. Like, you know, I love music. I'm a massive music nerd.
We all are. That's the thing.
Yeah, I try to shoot bands that I love because it comes across in my work. I think, like, you know, I love being at the front and you know, having that small slice of time period where there's nothing between me and the artist, and I just get to, you know, see and experience the whole thing like unobstructed. You know, obviously I should be looking in my camera, but like I do put my camera down and I soak in the moments because like, fuck, like what a privileged position. Like I'm not taking that for granted at all.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. There's so many pinch yourself moments where you're like, I can't believe that I get to do this. This is wild. It's very cool. Do you have, so we've spoken about some of your favorite gigs, but do you have any bucket list items, bucket list artists that you haven't shot? Items of people, items of humans that you haven't shot yet?
Yeah, I think I did have a bit of a list, but you know, I feel like that changes all the time. Like, you know, I end up just like going, I don't care if I do that or not. Like, you know.
Yeah, totally.
I used to like be like, I just like want to shoot Radiohead or like I want to shoot Queens of the Stone Age, like they're my bucket list. And then I didn't get the opportunity to do that, but then I saw all the photos and like the lighting was fucking awful and like it would have been a really hard gig to shoot. So I was like, I don't really care. Like, you know, so for me, like, you know, there's definitely bands I would love to shoot, but also at the same time, like, you know, I just, you know, I want to shoot the bands that I like and just, you know, shoot the gigs that I know are going to be an awesome time. Like, I think that's a big thing as well. Like, even if I don't particularly like enjoy the music of the band, if I know that it's going to be a good, you know, visually spectacular show, like I want to shoot that. It's not really about the band per se as it is like, you know, what I can capture from that gig, you know.
Awesome. Actually, we just went past a slide that I want to ask you about because I know this was kind of a good moment, a really cool moment for you, but you were nominated in the 2020 Live Music Awards for Live Photographer of the Year. How did that feel? I guess because I know the first time I was nominated for that, it felt like really lovely to be acknowledged, I guess, because there's never really any awards for us. How did you feel in that moment when you got nominated?
2020 was actually the second time I was nominated, which is like so nice. I think I was first nominated in the first one, which was 2018. Pretty weird, like, you know, I'm not really, I love getting acknowledgement, that's really nice, but I'm not really one that's like looking for it either. Like,
does anyone know how these nominations work? Because I certainly don't. Who nominates for these?
Well, that's what I was wondering last year. I was like, who the hell has, because I don't nominate myself. I think actually the first time I did nominate myself. I actually think if you can nominate yourself, you should do that because
I absolutely feel very uncomfortable with that notion.
Nah, Well,
Yes.
the first year I did because I was just like, who the hell else will nominate me? I was like, no one's going to go out of their way to do this for me. I'll just do it. And then if I, get shortlisted, that's cool. Like, hopefully
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
work speaking for itself. Whether, I don't know, I got shortlisted, that's really great. I don't know if people voted on that or whatever. I don't know how that worked after that.
I have no idea. I don't know how it's nominated, and I don't know how it's decided. So.
Well, on 2020, I didn't nominate myself. I didn't ask anyone to nominate me. I was like, whatever, I don't really care, I don't really care about that stuff that much. And then I, obviously was shortlisted. I was like, what the fuck? So I actually put it out on my Instagram, like, who nominated me for this?
No, but it is cool. It's a cool feeling. I was nominated in 2019 and actually won, which was the first thing I've ever won as a music photographer. I actually have my award on my desk, guys. That's how I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, of course. Oh yes, the glass cube.
It's literally
it's so heavy.
Dust. So heavy. It's like a big paperweight. But and also that particular year I was on the world tour with Rule as well, and I was like, I fucking deserve this. Like, I felt like that year in particular, 2019 really felt like my year.
Yeah, and you'd worked really hard, mate. Yeah.
I worked so hard that year. So it was just nice to be acknowledged, I think. And I think every year, any year that you're nominated, Jess Gleason won last year, which I also think was super well deserved. She's an amazing photographer. We've had her on the stream before, also incredible hard worker. What I loved about last year was that 4 out of 5 were actually female music photographers, which I don't think I'd ever seen before. Really showing how much that's changed. Actually, I'd love to talk to you about that. How much have you seen that change in? How long have you been shooting now? Is it close to 10 years?
It's just over 10 years actually. Just over 10.
I think we're very similar in how long we've been shooting. Have you noticed as much as I have in terms of just gender alone, like how much has changed? Like it's almost like completely flipped on its head. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What do you attribute that to? Because I don't really understand it. Why it changed so much in about the span of 5 years.
I mean, I would like to think that well, in Adelaide there's always been female music photographers, but not very many. Like, we've never had a 50-50 split, but back when I was younger and not shooting, there were a couple of female photographers getting around, and they worked for the paper street press when you actually could physically pick one up at the pub and take it home with you. They worked for those publications. So I like to think that I saw them doing that as a job, so I knew that was something I could do. So I would just like to think that people have seen chicks like us in the pit working, taking photos, seeing our photos and going, shit, yeah, I can do that too. And just some out of nowhere, they've come through the ranks, and all of a sudden there's just women shooting everywhere. It's great.
It was because I definitely remember the first, and I mean, again, I was shooting predominantly hip hop shows for the first probably 5 years of my career. Yeah. It's an incredibly male dominated genre across the board, both from who attend, who are performing, all that sort of stuff. So I think I was always going to be outnumbered in that anyway, but it really did start when I started shooting outside of hip hop. I really noticed how much that was different, and it just about 5 years ago, it was just like chicks everywhere. It was so good. It's like, this is awesome.
And I mean, a lot of those, they're very young, early to mid 20s as well. I say very young because I'm in my mid 30s, but that it's like that, next generation of photographers who, like I said before, realized earlier than I did and you did that they could shoot, and their talent,
that it's their
talent level is all the way up here already. So sky's the limit.
I actually think the other thing that might have had a really big difference was both the introduction of DSLRs and probably now mirrorless as well. Like, the barrier for entry from a technical point of view is actually much lower. And I know that would have really been prohibitive for a long time for females that weren't really as technically minded. It like obviously didn't want to shoot film or shooting a gig on film or like just film.
Yeah, pretty hard.
That's really hard. That would be so hard.
There's a couple of photographers here in Adelaide who shoot gigs on film. Emerald, amazing photographer, so creative, and their work, like I'm just like, oh, that's just unfair, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, people like Charlie Hardy and McClay Harriet, like those guys, you know, just like solid as,
incredible.
Like, you know,
yeah. It's such a completely different skill set to do that. I mean, just to shoot on film in general, but to shoot live music on film. I mean, I've occasionally fired off a couple of shots here and there. But yeah, it's definitely, definitely a skill. Shooting a gig on just film has me shaking. I shoot so much. Yeah, totally, Kiki. I mean, yeah, when you're used to shooting hundreds of photos and you might only have a roll or two of film, you have to be a lot more considered in those shots, don't you? Alias was saying that 2019 was the best, and next time I have an amazing year, I'm going to be super skeptical.
It's a good point.
I feel that. Yeah, I feel that 100%. Oh my God. We just don't, I don't even want to think about it. Any other questions for Lala? We're going to wrap up soon in about 5 minutes. This has been such a great chat. It's been good just to see your face because I feel like I haven't seen you
been ages, hasn't it?
Forever. Jade, who shoots a lot of film, she's saying it's a task as well. Do you know Jade? Do you know Jade Florence? You should definitely follow her if you don't. She's an amazing, just brilliant human and photographer.
I honestly just don't know because I'm really bad with the Instagram follows, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm the slackest idiot, I've got to say.
Yeah.
It's been so long. So
Jade said it's a task, and Chloe said you're very good at that task, Jade, which I completely agree with. So, yes, that is true.
Got a follow from me, mate. So
there we go.
Check it out.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Did you have anything exciting on the horizon? Is there anything that you're really looking forward to, or are you just kind of waiting to see if summer will be festival season for us or not?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to do my own work at the moment. I feel like I've actually just like moved house and stuff, so I've been like pretty frantic and haven't really been able to shoot much. But between jobs, I just like really want to start working on my own personal stuff, like shooting my friends. Cool. And I'm not really like, one thing I admire about you, Michelle, is that like your creativity and, you know, willingness to experiment in shoots is like next level. And I am a perfectionist, which is sometimes quite annoying because I like to have time and prepare these things, but I also can never think of shit to do. So
that's interesting that it comes across like that, because I feel like it's a combination of knowing that I've got what needs to happen. Like, the creative stuff happens at the end. I don't really plan for the creative stuff. It's like I get what I know we need to shoot, and then I allow some time, whether it's half an hour or whatever, just to play, to see what comes to us. And that's often the stuff that I like the most. It is the most creative. It's the longer exposure, or we pull out some colored lights, or but that's just, it's not, I don't know. I think to that.
Yeah, but like, I'll reference your her sound, her story photos. Like, you know, some of those images, like, what was the one that you took like outside? It was like in a bath, and there was like leaves and shit everywhere. Like, and you know, in the doco, you're just like, you know, you got someone like throwing the leaves up. Like, I'll never think of shit like that. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's interesting. Well, her sound was an interesting one because it's a collaboration with the artist. So it's not like I work really collaborative with artists. Like, I don't rely on myself to think of ideas because I'm actually pretty dumb at that, to be honest.
I'm exactly
the same. I really not rely on the artist, but I talk to the artist a lot about pulling out like different concepts and stuff. And the other third part of her sound was also Claudia, and Claudia is incredibly creative and very she can think of stuff like that. So you've got 3 people in that situation that are coming together. You're not just relying on one kind of brain, if that makes sense. It takes the pressure off a little bit.
For sure.
And I also just think it's just being really comfortable in, you know, that moment where you think, I know that feeling where you're like, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's
it's like, oh my God, I can't think of anything. Yeah, so you just, I don't know, I just usually go to something that I know really well, which is usually like a long exposure or something like that, and just see where that goes, to see what happens.
Well, at the
Throw
moment,
some stuff,
I
and,
just,
you know.
Oh, you cut out.
You go. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, sorry, you go.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, I want to work on my creativity a lot more and concepts and ideas. But I want to work with my friends, and I want to experiment a lot with colour.